Well, okay, if we don't reproduce, if we don't have another generation, everything before us is
another generation, but it's not our responsibility.
What if she wanted to reproduce with a black man? Would that be okay with you?
Okay, let's think about that for a second.
Or is that ruining my generation?
Well, let's think about the consequences.
It affects the percentages. It does, the racial percentages.
Now, you are, apparently
that's a problem.
I don't mean to be personal and so on, but all of you are very lovely people and so on. Very, very excellent genetic endowment. Okay.
Thank you, I'll work it out.
Now, the genes that you have, the physiology that you have, that is the result of thousands upon thousands of generations of your ancestors, okay, producing you. Okay, and so there's a very
my ancestors
unique heritage
from America, though.
You have a very unique heritage to you. Now, if you chose to pick some other race and reproduce with that other race, you would end that permanently. Your heritage.
And I'm okay with that.
Whoa. Okay. Well, is that scientifically true? Let's look at your physiology. Okay. You have a look. I'll bet you that your grandparents, if you looked at family pictures of your grandparents and your great grandparents, they would look just like you. I mean, I'd have to guess about that. You don't have any ancestors that look Chinese or African or Amerindian. There are none, going back thousands of generations. Well, yes, I do. And so do all of us looking at it. Now, the thing is if you chose, you pick some other race, and you decided to marry a person of that race and have children of that race, tell me this, could you ever regain the genetic endowment you have? Would there ever again be people who look...
Does that matter?
Okay, but scientifically, would it be lost? Would the chain be broken? Yes, it would. That's my point.
That's my point.
If the demographics of America changed and the blacks became, or the Hispanics became the majority race of America, what would that mean for America for you? Would that be of a lesser value? Would that change America?
Well, it would mean that whereas Africans are very smart about keeping Africa African, okay? And those little tiny parts of Africa that got a little bit white for a while, they're retaking those. Okay, the Africans insist on Africa being African. The Chinese insist. If you and I tried to move to China and set up like colonies there, they would kick us out faster than we could say, Jack Sprat. Okay, all other races are very protective of their territory. The only people who are not protective of their territory are us.
Because we're the greatest country.
Exactly, that's why we're superior to the rest
Well, how
of
is that? Is that an act of intelligence to give away your land? Is that an act of intelligence or stupidity?
Well, we are not native to this land, so what is there to be protected of? We're European Americans.
Well, when you say we're not native to this land...
I mean, I used to live in Nigeria. When I lived in Nigeria, I was welcomed. And if there were to be more whites there, I don't think...
Let me ask you this. Let's say you tried to move 500,000 American Europeans to Nigeria, to Lagos, okay? How would you be treated? If you tried to move 500,000 white Americans to Nigeria, how would you be treated? By the Nigerian government and by the Nigerian people?
I don't know if it's fair to make an assessment as to how I'd be treated in a good way or a bad way, just as much as you would.
You'd be run out.
How can you make that assessment? I can't make it.
Well, it's the way. How are disputes settled in Africa right now?
But they're not racial.
You remember the war? You don't remember
it. Tribes. If we were to go there, that would be not a brain drain for them. That would be a brain increase. They would have investment for that.
Do you remember the way the Nigerians treated the Igbos, the Igbo people?
Yes, I know.
Millions killed. Millions killed.
You're not gonna like this.
So, but the point is this. I think somebody asked a good question here, which is does it matter whether Europeans remain in control of our own country? And I say yes, it does, very, very much. Because every people has a right to a place. Right. This is our place.
Whose place?
European Americans.
Why?
Because
Africans came here the same time we did.
Yes, we built it, we created it.
They built it with their bare hands.
Turn this around so that you don't represent a campaign for liberty.
We built the farm.
It's the same working farm. They invested as much of their own blood and sweat to this country as we did.
Believe more in your own people. There's no. It's not a quite like dibs. Dibs. We were here.
He hates foreigners.
Tribe of
I'm a Poltard?
Oh, boy. Yeah.
Am I a Poltard?
We were.
I'm a Poltard.
You're probably not as bad as he is.
I'm a Poltard too, bro.
No, that guy.
Oh, so not me.
Not you. You're not racist.
I'm a Poltard too, so.
Land. It is their land. They own it.
There's no dibs over who has this land over anybody else, as much as the
Well, now
natives would have this.
you're in for a
Would you
big
argue
surprise.
that the natives can take this land over? What if they said, European Americans, go back to Europe, this is our land? Nobody lays claim to this land, we're here together.
Where did the Amerindians come from?
African Americans and Hispanics and Native Americans have invested as much of their own energy into this land as we have.
It's
They're-
advanced our
Okay,
culture.
then, okay, now,
He can hate me. That's okay.
Hey, well, let's take it easy.
No, I'm okay, man. Just don't call people Baltons. That's offensive.
I'm an individual. I can call them whatever I want.
And we can call you a jackass or whatever else too. I can call you a cocksucker piece of shit.
Take care, brother.
All right, ready?
we know there are 100 and some million Mexicans in Mexico. Every single one of them wants to live here. Every single one.
I don't blame them.
Okay, now, so when would you finally
Working out
say,
right for me.
when would you, and there are 1.3 billion people in China, every single one of them would rather be here.
I don't blame them.
There are 1.1
It's my
billion people
soul.
in India. Every single
It's my
one would
responsibility,
rather
my
be
duty
here.
to procreate. Like that.
Well,
That's my job.
anybody who'd rather be
Apparently.
than here is a really okay. But the point is this. So let's have a big party. Okay? 6.5 billion people on Earth.
This guy does not represent Campaign for Liberty. He's wearing a button.
And neither do you.
Yeah, I don't, but
Yeah.
neither do you. So
Good,
you're talking
good,
racist
good.
stuff. You don't represent Campaign
Good,
for
good,
Liberty.
yeah.
I want to put that on the record.
I don't like your mustache.
Yeah.
So
Who are you?
the,
I'm a Ron Paul supporter.
No,
the
him.
mother president. So but in any event,
That needed to be said. That needed to be
Absolutely.
said. Who are you?
He's just a racist with a Campaign for Liberty button on.
well, no, I mean,
Yeah, that's who you are. Just tell everyone here.
well, okay.
You don't represent
I'm
Campaign for Liberty.
somebody who, exactly like Thomas Jefferson.
That's great.
Who's the Thomas Jefferson of our time?
That's great. Whatever.
Thomas Jefferson?
Okay, my views are the same as those of Thomas Jefferson.
Yeah, Thomas
don't
Jefferson
represent
started the
Campaign for Liberty.
pro-slave party. The Democratic Party is the pro-slave party. They're the party of the Ku Klux Klan.
but
Harry Truman was a
okay,
Klansman.
okay.
Don't try to peg us as Democrats. We're Republicans.
Okay, but what I'm trying to say is that the views of people
We
wanting
need
to.
civil rights laws to work for Democrats.
Okay, but the views.
So don't try to push off that stuff on us.
Okay, all
We
right.
wouldn't have had slavery, we wouldn't have Jim Crow. Lyndon Johnson voted against anti-lynching laws. He campaigned against anti-lynching laws. That's Democrats.
Okay.
Don't blame us for what Democrats
We're
do.
going all over the place here.
No. I mean, if you're saying that we're responsible for that, that's bullshit. It's historically inaccurate.
Okay, well, no, I'm not. We're covering every single topic here. Okay, my fundamental point is my fundamental point is that we have interests. We as white people, we have interests. The same as every people.
I'm not white, I'm Irish. We're vanilla.
Okay, well, the Irish have an interest. Who does Ireland belong to?
Irish.
By the way, I have Irish blood. Who does Ireland belong to? The Irish.
Exactly.
Scotland. I have Scottish blood. It belongs to the Scots. Okay. All right. So, if the Nigerians want Dublin, and they do, they're coming into Dublin very fast. Should the Nigerians be allowed into Dublin? The Moroccans, the Algerians, should they be given jobs in Dublin? With Irish who are unemployed, who are hard pressed?
If they had ideas like you, maybe not.
If they're better qualified
Yeah,
for the
if
jobs,
they're better workers.
If they have an idea that's more progressive, or not more progressive, but let's say more modern than yours, then you finish the sentence.
Okay, so
If then.
okay, all right. So those.
Because it's not by someone's color or ethnicity that they make a contribution to society. It's by their hard work and commitment.
Okay, name
That's
for me.
America.
Name for me.
That's America.
That, by the way, that is one. That is one approach. Yes.
Rome,
Turkey.
Rome not only did Rome let anybody in, they went and conquered people and then made them move to Rome and said, all right, no, you're going to come in, you're going to become Romans now.
Just so you know.
Okay. Now you're a very good historian.
All right, so
no, I cut on a
so
technical point. No, there is some truth to what you said. There is some truth to what you said.
Thanks, Chief.
We let
We got
people
it.
in, and we're a better country for it.
everybody has as much claim over to this land as you do, as a white person does, as any other race. So I can respect your point of view.
Wait, that's a big leap there. That was a big leap. We went from
No,
free
it's
speech to
not.
free land.
No, we're talking about freedom here. That's what this conference is about, liberty. You're wearing a liberty
Right.
button, and that doesn't say liberty for whites. That says liberty for Americans. Americans, despite the color on their skin, are entitled to the same rights as you are doing right now, speaking your mind. And I respect you taking advantage of that just as much as I respect a black laying claim to this land or a Hispanic laying claim to this land.
Right. Okay. And by the way, what I am very surprised at is, and what I do find, sort of unbearable, is that white people are many of us, okay, are unwilling, are reluctant, are afraid to even realize that we have interests in preserving our
As Americans,
race.
we have interests.
Well,
Not
what are
as
we
a-
trying to preserve?
Why, as a white person, do I have to preserve?
Why
what
do you
are the
want to
interests
cut
of
out?
white people?
Why do you want to cut out a large percentage of the population from making a contribution to this society by putting them in second-class status?
No, I don't. Okay, well, that's a nice straw man question there. I didn't suggest anyone be put in a second-class status. I suggested that this land is our land. Scotland, France belongs to the French. Spain to the Spanish. Italy
It's
to
a
the Italians.
diverse amount of people.
Greece
Black people
belongs
in
to the
France
Greek
who
people.
say they're French.
And of the American white population, this is our land.
You
All
missed this
people
part.
everywhere came from somewhere. Yes, we did. We like all people
So
everywhere.
nobody has claims to this land.
There is no people. The American Indians crossed the Bering Strait Bridge about 12,000 years ago.
first.
You have less right here.
And interesting,
than
let me just
in
mention it.
by your own
If you were to look into your genetic code, you'll find out that you migrated from Africa.
Okay, so there are no races. We're all one. That's
We
his-
settled in
his
different
premise.
places and
His
adapted
premise.
to different conditions.
His premise is that there is only one race. And if his premise is correct, that there only is one race, there is only the human race, then he's right. He's right.
Why do we need to differentiate?
Yeah.
No, it's not a question of whether we need to. It's a scientific question of whether he's factually correct or wrong. Are we different, and is our difference worth preserving? I say yes.
Why?
Well, because we produced Galileo, Isaac Newton, Kepler.
You say we. What?
Those are Italian. You mentioned Italians and Englishmen. They're different on that.
What about the Ottoman Empire, the Middle East, created some of the most scientific
Okay,
and
well, okay,
astronomical
if it's not self-evidently obvious to you that our people has produced things infinitely worth preserving, well, then there's nothing I can do about that. Okay, even if that were true, every people has an inherent right to its own life, to survival. It's just like, for instance, lots of white people joined groups called Save the Whales. Why? Why save the whales? Because white people recognize, all those organizations were created basically by white people. They realize, you know what, those whales, even though they're not even people, we have accord to animals a right to exist, and we.
Sir, if I may interject.
But to ourselves, we don't.
I understand, and you have merit to that. But I think in this country, what's unique is you're speaking uniquely with America. Is that white people in America are not, you're saying, as proactive as they should be. But I think what's unique here is that there is a collective guilt of slavery. And we have to understand that.
Once again, I'd like to remind everybody this man does not represent the views of Campaign for Liberty. Thank you.
We know.
Anyway, but
I don't even have a campaign. Well, I got that.
But we have to understand. I mean, there was slavery here, and that's why maybe I understand there's other like I don't know if you know Michael Savage, talk radio. Like he speaks on the same issues that white people are emasculated or whatever. I've heard that before, but there is a collective guilt because of slavery in this country, and we do have to recognize that. Like there is another.
So you're saying
high percentage of people in this country who have dark skin that feel second class because of their history.
We can't address every issue there ever was, but it's sort of the premise, the logical premise. What you're saying is that other races, other people didn't do bad things, and so they don't have.
No. I'm speaking only to us Americans and to this country.
Okay, but your premise is if some of our ancestors did something wrong, okay, then we have to pay for it now. Okay.
No, I understand that. I understand, but that guilt. What the Greeks produced is not what I produced. What Cicero wrote is not what I wrote.
Please take this off. You don't represent our organization whatsoever, sir.
Okay, sure, fine. But the
same with Campaign for Liberty.
Take this off. Okay. Well, look, you know what I'll do. I'm actually.
Please, get this on camera, please. He does not represent our organization.
Okay, look, and I'll say no. We'll end the discussion. Yeah. No.
You're being excommunicated.
I'd like to hear what he says. Sir, you can't be on our television.
I don't want any hostility. They're not trying to shut you up. They're not trying to shut you up. They're just trying to make it so.
No, we're not trying to shut you up. We only
It was
represent
really
our organization.
interesting. We heard a guy make racist statements. Very interesting stuff. Thank you. So interesting. All right, guys. Question and answers.
No,